the geography in your own head, you know. You can see, you get a real sense for where you are in the world, and you'll see that climate change as you move around. We'll see that in a second, but it also just gives you a great sense of control while you're playing a game as well. So Craig's going to take us on a little flyby of the boundaries
Magical
of our
mystery
empire.
tour.
Magical mystery tour of the Western Roman Empire. Here, listen out for the screams. This is a bad time. This is the Dark Ages. Many, many bad things happened in this time, many of which we're kind of modelling the mechanics of the game as well. So as we're passing over the landscape here, you can see, you know, you can just see we're focusing on a much higher level of texture fidelity in the terrain textures, in the cities, in the units, and in the foliage and everything like that as well. So, you know, we're just looking at a higher level of detail overall on the map. So, if we move south again, you can see as well, there's loads of different foliage types, like many more than we had in Rome 2. And again, this helps us differentiate the different locations, the different regions throughout the world. You can see the sea shade change as well. Like we've gone from much more realistic, much crisper wave caps, you know, where the sun's glinting off the waves there. And you can see down in North Africa here, this is an example of how the lighting volumes change. It's much crisper and clearer, but we've got way more lighting volumes. We started this in Rome 2, but we've got even more of that. So, you know, these lighting volumes, they just give you a real sense of location with the weather and the climate and the amount of clouds and stuff. You can see in northern Spain here, it's autumn, so you get this nice little mists in the lowlands, yeah, and all the shrubberies kind of turning brown.
It's basically what it looks like outside the window right now.
Yeah, basically. If we could tilt the camera that way, actually, you just see a road. It's really boring.
You just see a road.
Nah, it's no fun. So yeah, campaign map looks much nicer now, which is good. I'll have a look at a bit of faction management now. So diving a bit deeper into the game itself. So we brought back the family tree. You know, you've probably heard about this already. I mean, this is one of the things that we announced. Obviously, this is a feature that everyone kind of missed because we skipped it in Rome 2. It's been in previous games, so we brought it back, and it really makes sense here as well because the game is set over a more human period. It's around 75 to 100 years, we reckon, will be a kind of average campaign time. You know, that may shift a bit, and of course you could play on longer than that, but your character's going to live longer. They've got more time to grow and develop. They've got more time to breathe, and you're just going to become more attached to them over time. And here, this is where we conduct politics and manage the political careers of our characters, of course. So yeah, a combination of popular support and political support adds up to your general power level. And this is where we can, you know, tell our family members to go and seek a wife, or assassinate them, or, you know, do all the things you kind of expect to be able to do in politics.
Nice mix of terrible and nice things.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, these were extreme times. Extreme measures were required. But another cool thing we can do here, and this is the way in which we're tying characters more closely into all the different kind of facets of the campaign game. Really, is we can assign them roles now. So, what Craig's going to do is pick one of our characters.
Because I'm so brilliantly well prepared, I've already assigned Virius Nishimanus Flavianus.
Get you.
Flavianus.
So Mr. Flavianus is now there's going to be a lot of graffiti on the walls regarding that name, I feel. But so Craig's already assigned him actually the governorship of Britannia Superior,
which also assigned him a very nice hat.
Yeah, so he got a neat hat, which is, you know, every governor should have a neat hat. So, and I've got to say we do hats quite well. Yeah. You wait till you see the Sassanids, crazy hats. Can't wait to show you those. Anyway, so yeah, down on the campaign map, he's now the governor of this province, right? And that means we can enact edicts, because enacting edicts is no longer about region ownership and owning all the regions in that province to be able to do it. You just need a governor in place. So once you own, you know, the provincial capital, you stick your governor in there. Now, he's got a skill tree all of his own, right? And if he's a particularly civic-focused character, if you've been working on his civic tree, or, you know, he just comes out like that, then he's going to be better at managing the city. And then, so he's going to buff it in a number of different ways, you know, boost production or recruitment or whatever. He's going to bring a number of his skills to bear to improve the fortunes of this particular province. He'll also appear as the garrison commander. If you fight a city battle there, he'll be on horseback leading his troops. But, you know, if he's civic focused, he might not be a particularly good warrior.
I really like the idea of getting some pen pusher out on horseback, sending him out to the front line.
Yeah, absolutely. What do I do now? Can we send them a letter?
So I've just issued ecumenical matters.
Yes, ecumenical matters. It's one of our religious edicts, because, of course, religious time we have religious specific edicts now as well, according to our state religion as well. So on the record screen, we can see that this is just a giant growing history of our entire campaign, all the events that happened, all the notable events that happened. So battles won, battles lost, characters leveling up, characters becoming governors of various places, territories being won or lost, diseases outbreaking. Everything that happens in the course of our campaign is basically built into a giant, long database, which we can browse here by these drop downs here. We can filter out things so we can see only certain aspects if we wish to. But the cool thing about this is we're working on a system where you can upload this to your own page on totalwar.com, and there'll be a bunch of different visualizations for that data, so you can share specific aspects via a chart or a graph or a pie chart or something like that.
We're hoping to allow you to basically be able to tell your story from your campaign using all this data, which is really cool.
From a visual perspective as well, so you can really go, well, I've won all these battles, but the last half of the game I didn't win a single one, so you can just, you'd be able to visualise that. So, which we think is pretty cool. I guess we look at buildings. So building browser. I mean, as well, it's right. You're seeing a piece of UI here, obviously, but this is an example of how, like, right through the game, we're reworking the UI just to make it more useful, and we're designing it more intelligently now, I think. So we're making it more useful. We're making it more convenient for the player to make the decisions they need to make about the particular thing they're looking at, right? So the building browser here, we can see all the buildings, via these drop downs, so civic, military buildings. Also, we can see all the chains. We can also see, marked in red, obviously we need to research technologies to be able to access and build those buildings. But it just gives us a look ahead, so we can plan our building projects kind of ahead of time.
It's my favourite one.
Sanitation chain?
Sanitation. I don't want to make it seem like I'm obsessed with this subject.
He's a clean freak.
Yeah, and I like toilet. I like a good toilet.
It smells very nicely.
I would say better toilets, happier people.
Yeah, it is true. Well, better in this case, better toilets, because we've actually decoupled the whole kind of squalor sanitation issue in Attila. So in Rome 2, they lived in tension, and that was really about public order. If you built loads of farms or fisheries, and the place got really stinky because there's animal bits lying everywhere, then you've got high squalor, and then you have public order problems, rebellions, all that stuff. So we've decoupled it actually from public order, and now it's really about avoiding the outbreak of diseases. And this is a period, as I mentioned, of climate change. It's getting colder, populations are migrating, you've got famine, you've got people underfed and malnourished, and you add dirt into the mix of of all those kind of elements of deprivation, and you get diseases breaking out. And this was really a quality time for diseases in the history of the world. So we have a bunch of diseases. So over in Camelot here, Colchester, my hometown, I'd like to add to anyone from Colchester, hello, there's a disease broken out.
You better
stay indoors and work on your sanitation, basically. So low sanitation in Colchester, unfortunately, at this period in history. I'm not saying that's that.
Not just this period in history.
I'm actually going back there for Christmas, so we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so over here in Colchester, a disease has broken out. I mean, you can see by this little miasma cloud that's rising. So the little you can see the little rain of confetti stuff. That means there's an edict in play at the moment, the one that Craig said earlier. But the little cloud is representation of the fact that there's a disease there. And now diseases are kind of bad news because they. It depends on the severity, right? Because they differ in severity and infectiousness. So some diseases, they might linger. They might be, they might just stick around and they're really hard to shake.
Nasty slow burners.
And it's just like one of those colds that just goes on for weeks, and you've got a bit of a cough and a bit of a sniffle, and it's not that bad, but it just brings you down a bit right over time and slows down the rate of production in your cities, or your guys just don't fight quite as well. They'll get some little debuff to combat. So and that disease might be sort of outbreak in the city. If there's an army nearby, it can catch the disease and of course take it to another city or take it to an enemy city.
Biological warfare.
Biological warfare, indeed. Go and take your diseased army and send it to the hinterlands to have a few fights. See if you can spread a disease while you're trying to shake it. But crucially, disease can be spread through trade routes as well. So, and that has geopolitical consequences. So if you're trading with someone, you've got a really lucrative trade deal with one of your trade partners, and they get a nasty disease in one of their cities, you've got to really think about whether you want to continue trading with them at this point, because if that's going to start coming to the cities you're connected to via trade routes, then that's you're going to have to think twice about that. And the severe diseases are bad. I mean, we've got TB, dysentery. You know, they're all fairly unpleasant. You know,
you don't want dysentery hiding in your mind, do you?
You really don't. You really don't. So that's not something you want to pass. You know, obviously, one of the headlines is the plague, which can tear through your population, can bring production income to a standstill, can damage, you know, all sorts. It can really hurt your armies. You know, it's so, and those super fierce ones tend to burn out quite quickly. But they can do a lot of damage while they're sticking around. So yeah, disease is bad.
Disease is bad, kids.
Yeah. So hey, kids. Yeah. So again, you know, this is one of those kind of period-specific features that really gets across the idea of the Dark Ages. That sort of, you know, the lack of hygiene and everything. So.
Lack of hijinks.
A lack of hijinks. Yeah.
Very serious times.
I don't think there was much fun going on in this period. No. But so afterwards we'll have to look at the tech tree. So we'll just have a very brief look at this. But obviously in Rome 2 we had a number of different tech trees for, you know, the different aspects of your kind of technological progression. But again, so what we're seeing here is another example of how with our UI we're trying to work up a more intelligent design that's more useful to the player. So we've combined again all our tech trees back into one. So you can compare your technologies. You know, not between the different tiers of, say, military and civic, but between military and civic themselves. So you can really kind of plan your technological progression better. And the same is true of character skill trees as well. So if we have a quick look at take a look at one of our generals here, Doom. Flavius
Uccinis.
Yeah, I can't even pronounce that. No, I'm really not all the time. Uticanus. You don't call me a Ticianus. Right. Wow, this is going south, isn't it? So yeah, again with the UI, we've moved characters back to skill trees. We've got away from that kind of little card stacking system that we had in Rome 2 and moved back to trees, which again lets you kind of plan your progression better, but also you know, we've added this pane on the left, the effect summary here, and that's all the buffs and debuffs that are affecting this particular character. Yep. So you can see them all summarised, and you can get a really crisper view, you know, a sharper view of exactly what, you know, his kind of strengths and weaknesses are. And the same is true of armies as well. So if we have a look at the army skill tree as well, so again we've, you know, its kind of trait system, its skills are all, you know, built into a tree again. And the same with the army as well. All the debuffs and buffs that are happening to that army are kind of built in there. So yeah, effects of diseases, things like that. You know, any kind of regional effects going on that may be brought by the governor in that city. You know, this all stuff is all connected. So, I guess we better look at the.
Let's get up north.
Sort of the biggie one.
Let's make the journey up north.
Yes, the long journey up the M6.
Up north
to York. Yes, Jorvik. So Eboracum, which is. Currently under great threat from these two. So you can see there's two Saxon armies here. This invasion force has just landed and gone into a defensive stance right here. But you can bet